All right. Here we are. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome, one and all to the finals of the finals, the grand finals, if you will, of the BBB Season 1 tournament. We're here now with Hannodins and Kaalhaarman facing off in this epic clash. Definitely excited to be here with you guys today. We'll see. Yeah, Grail Knights are currently banned under BBB rules. Grail Guardians are limited to 2. So, yeah, we'll see. I don't want to make too many early predictions, but it's definitely going to be an absolute scrap between these two players. So I'm excited to see what they can do. Welcome. Yes, indeed. In for a good time today, and I just want to make sure I got these faction picks correct. I actually do think they're incorrect real quick. So, yeah. Kaalhaarman bans Vampire Counts. Hannodins is going to pick Empire, ban Dwarfs, Dark Elves, and Skaven. Kaalhaarman responds with Greenskins. So we're going to start with some Empire versus Greenskins, which is certainly something that I appreciate. Here we go. Here we go. No, I can spell, I promise, guys. All right, yes. Empire versus the classic Green Scums. And looking pretty good in that nice blue uniform of Middenland, or Nordland rather even. We've got Boris the Todd up in the sky. And we've got Ulrika here as a caster, some swordsmen, a couple of war wagons, and some spearmen. Knights of the Blazing Sun. It's like some Empire Knights as well. So reasonably balanced, well-rounded Empire army. I do like to pick up Ulrika to a degree here. She can definitely fight against a lot of Greenskin stuff, no problem. Or Shadows is awesome. Cost mystifying the ass will definitely put out a lot of damage over time, and especially if you're trying to kite with war wagons, can be quite helpful to try and take out some of these boar boy biggins, of which there are 2 of the savage variant. We've got mangy marauders as well. Savage orcs, been seeing them making a bit of a comeback recently, which is, I mean, they were always a fairly solid DPS unit. Can be somewhat squishy, but they're not that expensive either, so it's mostly fine. Gobos and some goblin wolf riders also, rusty errors. Led by a Night Goblin War Boss on foot, which is an absolute Chad pick. Incredibly risky as he is super squishy and his stats are not incredible, but he does have some great utility abilities here with, of course, the Fermented Fungi. Looks like he did not bring Tormentor Sword, but he does have Spite of the Bad Moon. So probably very cheap as well, which has allowed a lot of value to be distributed out in this army. I see some stone trolls lurking here in the woods. So it's just an absolute greenskin horde. Love to see it. And let's take a look at the wagon, boys. I gotta say, the Nordland uniforms are definitely very nice, very colorful, especially the war wagon dudes in like mostly yellow with light blue, although it's not like the sickly golden yellow of the other Empire color schemes. Strat Game, Tenor, thanks for casting, my absolute pleasure. I should probably get the Streamlabs like notifications set up again. Been some time since those have been working properly for me, but anyway. Yeah, definitely glad I'm streaming on YouTube, too, with all the stuff happening recently on Twitch. It just makes me glad that I've invested my time into streaming for all of you fine people here on the YouTubes. So thank you so much for being here. Thanks for watching and donating and everything else over time. It's been fantastic. A little bit of Melkos on the Rusty Errors right away. Definitely a smart play. I mean, tactically, they're a pretty important unit, even if they're not the most expensive necessarily. But certainly nice to get rid of that armor sundering if you can, especially with their low leadership. Boris is just kind of trundling around the flank right here. This impassable pond may come into play to a degree to help the Empire kind of protect if the Greenskins try and rush in here. We'll have to take a long way to try and flank around with this cavalry, or else try and just charge into the teeth of the spears, which is probably the more likely option. Got plenty of numbers to try and overwhelm locally, so let's see what they can do here. Not sure what the war wagons are shooting. They may not even be on fire at will. If they're wasting their ammo on goblins, that's actually really good for the Greenskins. Greenskins don't have a lot of high-value targets for the war wagons to shoot at, but they do have some. Certainly those Savage Orc Boar Biggins are a great target for both Melkoths and the shooting, but it looks like 2 Melkoths and the Rusty Airs are almost done for. I mean, such a low amount of HP as a squishy archer unit, and as a result, well, the shooting of the war wagons too, I think actually has been focusing them a bit. Get some more shots there on those Savage Boar Biggins. Just a nice little skirmish phase for the time being, as Spirit Leech is gonna try and work down these war wagons over time. But it's going to take quite some time, and they'll be able to use up most of their ammunition in the meantime. So let's see. Ulrika also, I don't think, is on fire at will, which in my opinion is a mistake. I mean, her missile attack doesn't do that much damage, so you might as well just leave her on fire at will. She could be passively damaging as you kind of make this initial approach. And it does look like Hannodins just kind of try and straight up kite here with his war wagons a bit. Honestly, not the worst idea. Maybe see if he can catch out some vulnerable units with Boris, although Boris has got to be a little bit careful. Just wants to maintain scouting, I think, on the Rusty Airs there. I don't know, maybe he's actually saving the Ulrika shots for something specific. But, yeah, looking at this River Troll hag, I actually think Ulrika is more than a match for her. In melee, despite 1,000 HP, she's just got better everything else. Ooh, Spirit Leech on Ulrika, though. That's actually going to be a much better target than the War Wagons. I think they have a lot more HP than her. Well, I say that. It's actually pretty close to the same. But damage scaling will be at maximum efficiency. Oh, it's good. Definitely good, but Ulrika, at the same time, it's just going to be generating some nice value. A little bit of Melkoths there on that Savage Orc War Biggin. So a little bit of a kite, you know. Both players not wanting to overcommit to a big engagement. There's quite a bit of prize money on the line right now, so these players definitely going to try and contend, play their absolute best. Yeah, the thing for Hannodin's build that's a little odd for me, the Night Goblin War Boss, I guess is just a tech pick, but he's so vulnerable to getting sniped by Boris right now. Like, honestly, as risky as it is, yeah, I mean, what else is there to really punish? If you were to make an attack with, like, the Knights and stuff, and if you could screen, ooh, nice Fermented Fungus there on the War Wagons, that's going to draw them into melee combat. And, yeah, Hannodin's a little bit out of position to try and just capitalize on. They did bowl a nice hole through those goblins, but they're immediately going to be followed up by the Savage Orc Boar Biggins, which is definitely not great. But yeah, big investment of cavalry here. Boris was not in a position, or these other units, but like I was saying, Boris and the cavalry could just make an attack right here, try and isolate the Night Goblin War Boss. He could snipe the War Boss in a big hurry in melee, so it's a very vulnerable position to be in, especially given that he doesn't even have the Squig mount, so he's quite slow as well. Yeah, I don't know. Against Empire, like, on the one hand, I like it, but also it seems so vulnerable to getting sniped, and it's definitely a problem for Greenskins, but it's like the Empire is actually going to miss a little bit of their heavy cavalry charges, which is not ideal. They do land on some here, but forcing the Empire into this engagement is probably not what they wanted to do. Spear support's a little bit behind. Boris does come in here as well, and actually 2v1 the Goblin Big Boss with the Savage Orc War Biggin support, despite the enfeebling foe on them. It's turning pretty south against Boris pretty quickly. The Empire Knights are not able to really reinforce here as they're getting effectively blocked, but we do have a Melkoth going off against those Savage Orc Boar Biggins, and yeah, man, is this guy on a wolf? So yeah, he is on a wolf, which means he's maximum speed. It's going to be pretty tough for Boris to actually get away from him. Unlike Lewin, though, Boris's healing will sustain him through routing. Oh, no, it looks like the, yeah, Hannodin's just going to go ahead and throw in the towel there. Interesting. I think he probably could have recovered that, even with Boris having taken so much damage, but Yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't know. The melee fight was probably going to go against him. These Savage Orcs would do a lot of damage to that Empire front line, and there's not... Yeah. I don't know. I mean, some things definitely perform well. I just think he maybe threw the towel in a little bit early there. But anyway. Let's see, on the Greenskin side, yeah, I mean, the battle is kind of cut short, so we don't see a ton in terms of value, but Spirit Leech is, as it pretty much always has been, fantastic, and the Night Goblin Big Boss does pay for himself, even in that short amount of time, so interesting. I mean, the Mangy Marauders were in a position that they probably could have chased Boris off, shooting him with AP missiles, but I just don't see him getting fully finished off there. I don't know. Hey, thanks. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, the one War Wagon getting shut down, and then Boris also getting rounded off. But the thing is, like I said, Boris, unlike Lewin, his healing doesn't shut off when he routes. Like, he will heal through routing and probably come back, so... Yeah. Yeah, just picking that one War Wagon off and then Hannodins kind of overreacting to a degree. Did he forget to bring Boris's healing item? It's possible. That's definitely possible. I actually didn't even check to see if Boris was healing or not, so if he did, that feels bad, man. I definitely have done that before, but feels real bad. Let's see what they can do in terms of army picks on this next one. Don't get me wrong, I like Ulrika, but I think... I don't know. Against Greenskins, I might actually go Fire and go Burning Head. Yeah, I mean, if Boris is gone, then that's one thing, but I think he probably could have recovered Boris, assuming he did actually remember to bring the healing item, which I did not check, but yeah, that's feels bad. At least, do they come auto-equipped with the items now? I'm pretty sure. So you have to actually deselect it on accident now, which is the difference from before where you could actually forget to select it. But yeah, painful, definitely painful. But if Boris does have his healing, I mean, I don't know. The Mangy Marauders were in a very good position to try and shoot him to death, or at least, like, shatter him. So it's possible that even if he does have his healing item there, that he's still not able to come back. And without that terror, you are definitely screwed big time. Let's see what they can do on this next one here. Getting their picks and bans. Locked in shortly. Going here. Classic Med 2 soundtrack. All right. In terms of magic, getting back to that just briefly, I don't know, Burning Head seems so good right now, and just Lore of Fire in general, the damage and the leadership debuff from Burning Head is really good against Greenskins infantry, and I mean, obviously, hindsight's 2020. Can't always predict that Greenskins are going to go with that heavy of an infantry composition, but, I don't know, it seems like Burning Head would be very good for just bursting down Greenskins' chaff and getting them off the field, especially when paired with heavy shock cavalry charges. Like, even in that replay, like, if you had Burning Head, right, instead of Ulrika, you had Lore of Firecaster, throw Burning Head on that front line and just face charge with the Knights, and, like, yeah, he's got a few high mass units who will countercharge and try and stop it, but you probably still effectively rout all the Goblins. then just pull back and screen through like a line of spears and halberds, and just go from there. I don't know. I'm not an expert by any means, but a little bit out of practice, I should say, but just historically worked quite well for the Empire in this matchup. And yeah, I mean, Ulrika is just a little expensive also. I mean, she's good, but in terms of combat too, she can potentially like fight, you know, someone in melee, like even Warzag, or I don't know. Actually, the Troll caster, I think, would lose to her in a straight 1v1, but with Spirit Leech and with kind of other factors going on, the fact that she can heal, the River Troll hack, that is, maybe she'd be able to sustain through Ulrika. But regardless, I just think other magic casters tend to be much more cost-effective for the Empire, and especially something like Lore of Fire, where like 1 or 2 casts of Burning Head can pretty much pay for the caster, and then the rest after that is profit. Tactically, it's super nice to have. Or alternately, you could just go the ultra boring route and take Lore of Death yourself and just Spirit Leech down whatever Greenskin Lord they take, assuming it's not, you know, like Grand Punch or somebody that's going to be relatively immune to that. But like in that situation, and obviously hindsight's 2020, but a couple of Spirit Leeches gets that Gabo big boss off the field, and then all the Greenskins have a leadership debuff permanently. So maybe you take both Death and Fire. I don't know. Just take Death with only Spirit Leech, Fire with only Burning Head, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, let's see what we got going on over here. Looks like Hannodins is going to ban Lizardmen. Kaalhaarman is going to go Empire, ban Dark Elves, Skaven, Vampire Counts. And Hannodins is going Cathay. Nice. So we're going, yeah, Empire versus Cathay. Classic human-on-human matchup. Love that. Should be in for a good time. It's definitely an interesting matchup. Over time, I've kind of, not necessarily flip-flopped, but I feel like it's mostly been an even matchup, maybe slightly Cathay favored at times, but the recent buff to Greatswords actually might affect this matchup, because it is a matchup where you do take Greatswords for sure. All right. Excellent. Yeah, the Greatswords buff probably helps Empire a little bit in this matchup. It's an interesting one, though, for sure, because, like, the Empire's rockets are so much better, right? You've got war wagons, you've got the mobile firepower and better cavalry. Cathay and infantry is just straight up better, though, and their infantry missile units tend to be just better, kind of. I mean, you got Huntsmen, which are not directly applicable in this matchup for the Empire, but are very good, definitely. But we'll see. Definitely interesting builds. Saw a lot of Iron Hails there, so I'm going to be relying quite a bit on those. Yeah. Yeah, from the Empire's side, I mean, again, the rockets, your own rockets are just, both sides, I guess, really, the rockets murder the other's infantry for the most part. Because the Empire's all AP, right? Cathay's non-AP, Empire has mostly non-armored infantry. Anyway, where was I going with this? Yeah, so artillery, I would probably say, is basically a wash. The infantry I would give to Cathay, except for greatswords, are like a pretty nice counter for most Cathayan infantry. So, again, probably even. Get cavalry, I'd give the advantage definitely to the Empire. Yeah, infantry missile units in this matchup specifically, I would probably give the edge to Cathay. So it ends up being pretty even in practice, in my experience, but we do have the rocket at least on the Cathayan side, which is nice to see. Be great against any low armor kind of state troop or flagellant infantry. Hello? Hello? Anyway, we've got a bunch of Iron Hails here. We've got some Peasant Long Spears. Jade Lancers and Peasant Horsemen, lots of cavalry for Cathay to contest. Yeah, 8 cavalry units for Cathay. It's going to be a lot for Hannodins to manage, but he sure is up to the task. We've got lots of cavalry on the Empire side, too. I love to see that. 4 Empire Knights, Karl Franz up in the air, Jade Wizard. We've got 2 war wagons, front line of swordsmen, and then some grenade launcher outriders. 3 grenade launcher outriders, which is significant spend, and they're quite squishy. But wash your great cannons, yes. Yes. The rockets. Definitely going to be a cool unit. They don't have a lot of great targets to go after. Here, I guess the best they could do is try and make contact maybe with the Outrider grenade launchers, but the volume of cavalry for Hannodins definitely could prove to be a problem, especially if the Peasant Horsemen are able to get into the grenade Outriders. But they're going to have to rush in pretty quickly from the front and then kind of delay this Peasant Horseman backside attack. Let's see here. Yeah, rockets come in mostly inaccurate. In fact, I don't think they even got a single hit on that volley there, but it's fine. Oh, nice. They did technically hit one guy, but didn't actually kill him. That's nice. Yeah, the grenade launchers could be fairly solid. The issue is with the range of the grenade launchers being fairly short. I mean, 90 range on the Iron Hails is almost as much as the grenade Outriders. They're going to have a very tight operating window of safety without getting blasted. With their low HP, too, the Iron Hails could just tear them to shreds. It does have the benefit of the War Wagons having a little bit longer range, but between the threat of the Peasant Horsemen from the backside, Iron Hail shooting from the front side, it could be a little bit tricky to actually use them effectively, but we'll see. I mean, certainly the Peasant Spears are far enough forward here that they will get hit before the Iron Hails are able to return fire. Oh yeah, just murder my frame rate, please. Absolutely beautiful. Big old lag spike. Yeah, so there we go. Grenade Outriders, like I said, just slightly out of range. Storm of Shadow is going to debuff their speed somewhat, and then here come the Peasant Horsemen. It's important for Kaalhaarman to keep his Empire Knights back in more of a protected position right now, even though he wants to try and defend with them. Get in here and probably charge out some of these enemy cavalry, but Jade Lancers now pushing forward on the right flank. Oof, Grenade Outriders, though, definitely putting a hurt on those Peasant Longspears. Already have routed a couple units. Jade Lancers are going to respond. Karl dives this flank here to support his Empire Knights against the Jade Lancers. Empire Knights looking much more shinier here in the Chaos Sun. But Peasant Horsemen also are going to get through and get one of these Grenade Outriders. Looks like they're also compromising potentially the War Wagons here, or the War Wagons are being used to kind of block. This Grenade Outrider, though, got absolutely blasted by return fire. You can see all the Iron Hails lined up, for the most part, are free to fire. And this other unit of Grenade Outriders also gets immediately blasted. So, yeah, all 3 Grenade Outriders get shut down in a pretty big hurry. So Hannodins definitely had the right build to counteract what was happening here. See if he can hold out against the rest of what the Empire has brought. Definitely Karl and the Jade Lancers pushing through on this flank are going to be quite scary. Peasant Horsemen are going to try and stop them up momentarily while Hannodins reorganizes his gunners into position to fire in here. Definitely be absolutely devastating for these Empire Knights. You can see models already dropping as those volleys come in, but the Empire Knights are also pressing their advantage in the center to try and get onto the Iron Hails. The models get a little bit strung out, though, and it looks like the Iron Hails are effectively able to focus them down. A little bit of Earthblood from Yao Ying as well to heal up these units and try and sustain that center. Empire Knights here getting a little bit, maybe not overblobbed, but definitely taking those Jade Lancers to task. Karl's, meanwhile, is keeping up his offensive on Cathay's left flank. Him and his Empire Knights diving in do manage to stop up a lot of these Iron Hails. And, yeah, the Iron Hails are now starting to take significant damage. Peasant Longspears are mostly gone out of this frontline engagement, so that even the Swordsmen can get through. get on those Iron Hails and try and shut them down. But it looks like Miao Ying went full transform and is going to come in and try and snipe Jade Wizard for Kaalhaarman here. Yeah, Carl needs to get out of dodge and go wheel around and protect his caster if he wants to try and save this. Right now, Cathay's in a pretty good position despite all the damage they've taken. I mean, Miao Ying is really quite healthy still. And, I mean, without healing, Carl might not be able to fully finish her off. We'll see. But at least for the time being, Carl does get another... regrowth actually gets misclicked onto those Empire Knights. That maybe was not intentional. Did manage to hold them in combat for some time, but that regrowth, my guess, would probably be meant for Carl. But yeah, looks like it's gonna be victory for Cathay. So Hannodins with a really nice counter build for the triple grenade launcher, all of which were shut down pretty much immediately. The rest of the build too. I mean, 8 cavalry units for Cathay is not something you expect necessarily. At least, certainly I wouldn't. Maybe in this matchup you should start expecting it. But yeah, the massive cavalry here. Eventually something's going to get through between the cavalry and the Iron Hails here, both of which were effective to enough of a degree to be successful. The rockets also, I mean, yeah, Kaalhaarman didn't really have the means to shut them down quickly, so they managed to get some really nice value as well. So GG, nice scrap. Yeah, we're into 1-1. I've been forgetting to update the scoreboard through both of these games, but here we are. Hannodins fights back on a game there with Cathay. Empire takes 2 Elves, which I'm not necessarily super happy about, but that's just the way of life sometimes. That's why we play the games, right? So, there you go. Grenade launchers seem like a meme pick, to be honest. Yeah, against Cathay, because Cathay has such strong missile units, I would say probably yes, I agree. Like, I definitely wouldn't take them against Cathay because grenade launcher's biggest counter is especially long-range shooting, like cannons and stuff, or like crane gunners would definitely take them to task. The rockets, as we saw there, even though they're not super accurate, still do enough damage. I mean, there's just so few Outriders, and they have so few HP when you take the grenade launchers. It's super, super risky. So, probably would have actually just one-to-one traded out all the grenade launchers for, like, greatswords, maybe. And then, again, probably go with Burning Head. I don't know. And if you're taking Carl, you do need to have healing, I think. But, yeah, not the best day for Empire, but that's okay. That's all good. Mortars more than grenade launchers. Yeah, it's not a terrible idea, actually. Like fighting dwarfs, but worse. I mean, kind of. I don't know. They don't have some things that dwarf has. Like, yeah. In many ways, it is like fighting dwarfs, but worse. But, I don't know. I think Empire can do okay. They have some tools there. Empire could have brought their own rocket battery, which would have made things pretty uncomfortable for Cathay from the start. Plus, yeah, you could go like double cheap mortar, and I mean, on that map, it's not really terrain to hide behind, but at least you're decentralizing your value out a little bit and provide pretty good pressure, especially to those lower armor units like the tightly grouped Iron Hails. But yeah, make mortar wagons cheaper. I actually unironically like mortar wagons against Wood Elves, believe it or not. Where is John with the Hellblasters? Yeah, you know, Hellblasters, definitely expensive, but are something that you can take. Gonna have some Dark Elves versus Demons up next, it looks like. Yep, so Kaalhaarman bans Vampire Counts, Hannodins picks Dark Elves, bans Beastmen, Lizardmen, and Dwarfs. Kaalhaarman's gonna go with Demons of Chaos. So, let's see. He's stated over here. And let's see. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Yeah, but yeah, believe it or not, mortar wagons against wood elves. Yes. I mean they're definitely vulnerable, but given their faster speed now, um, and granted, wood elves cavalry has also got a lot better, so it's probably riskier than it was in the past. But it used to be that, I mean, when wild riders were not so much of a factor, you just dominate with Empire cavalry in the mobility fight, and then yeah, and then your mortar wagons are free to just run around and blast light elven infantry, which is fantastic. But basically play it as a Slaanesh. Yeah, makes a lot of sense, thematically and mechanically. Might mix in a couple corn units here and there. Well, actually thinking about it, Flesh Hounds maybe. Big maybe. But you can take the Heralds now for Demons of Chaos too, which I haven't seen people doing much of, but it does give you a little bit of a cheaper Lord option. Or like if you want to take like the Herald of Slaanesh that has a summon, right? Yeah, Herald of Slaanesh too, actually, on the chariot is quite good. In my opinion. Can be quite good. Quite sticky. Squishy. Not sticky. Actually the opposite, quite slippery, which is a good thing for a chariot. But yes. Excellent. Here we are. Let's get this. While we're waiting for Kaalhaarman to get his army finished up. So got at least 2 more guaranteed games here. Possibly even a full 3. Let's kind of see how it pans out. Demons of Chaos versus Dark Elves. God, there's just... I don't know. I'm not very well versed in playing Undivided Demons at all. But I could imagine that going with a like Slaanesh kind of focus composition might be quite good. Maybe throw in a couple, like, or maybe 1 or 2 Nurgle Soul Grinders as well. Yeah. Let's see. He's got the Herald of Nurgle. Very interesting choice. Also a great healer. Super cost effective, especially if you take him either on foot or on the palanquin. Might be flying though. Oh, he's got death. Yeah, so probably is flying if I had to guess for Spirit Leech. He's got some Slaanesh elements, some Tzeentchian elements. I'm not the biggest fan generally of taking Tzeentchian missile units when you're playing demons, because your armies tend to be on the smaller side. So if you have a lot of missile Tzeentch demons, they'll just get charged out and killed, in my experience at least. But I don't know, maybe it's different for these guys. Okay. Here. This is the Medieval 2 soundtrack, yep. This track specifically is from the America's DLC, I believe. So you're not wrong. Definitely, I mean, the track name is literally called Lakota Lambda. Or Lambada, sorry. Lakota Lambada. So, there you go. You're spot on, sir. Anyway. Now, let's take a look at this Demon's composition. Like I thought, the Herald is flying, which gives him a Spirit Leech Flying Lord with an AoE heal and Vigor Refresh. It's quite nice. 2 Flamers is probably the riskiest part of this army, in my opinion. It does have Bringers of Beguilement. 2 Flesh Hounds, including the ROR here. A couple of Nurglings. ROR Blood Crushers, Heralds of Khorne's Fury, and another Flesh Hound. So a lot of Khorne mobility. 3 blues, or pinks. Sorry, 2 pinks and 1 blue. Okay, so they're all like true missile units. Interesting. Let's see. Let's see. Anyway, sorry, someone's just texted me. I had to respond real quick. Taking a look at the Dark Elf army. Morathi might be able to chase down the Herald on the Rotfly. She's faster. She's got to be faster, right? 105 speed versus 90. So we'll see about that. We've also got some Black Ark Corsairs. We've got some Cold One Knights. 1 Cold One Knight, 2 Cold One Knights, with 4 Dark Riders, 3 Cold One Knights. So again, a lot of cavalry here. I love to see it from Hannodins. Got some Dread Spears, and yeah, the Corsairs. Fairly straightforward army. Yeah, the Demons build is an interesting one for sure. There's elements of it that I like and elements that I do not. Keep in mind, Morathi does have spell resistance of 25%, so she's not going to be the best target for Spirit Leeches. I mean, she is going to be the best target for Spirit Leeches on the field, I think, but just in general. Got to be careful, too, with this Nurgle bro. He doesn't get too far forward. He does not have a whole lot of armor. He will take significant damage if he gets focused too hard by the Corsairs. Out at max range, though, with the trees in the way. It's not a scatter shot, not going to do a lot, so. Let's see. Looks like the Herald is just kind of kiting a little bit here. I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, gotta be careful there. Doesn't do too much damage. That scatter shot's pretty inaccurate. He's not the biggest target either on the Plague Drone Rotfly mount. So, let's see. Yeah, just kind of kiting again for the time being. Looks like some of these Tzeentch missile units might try and come forward and respond. If I were Kaalhaarman, probably want to try and sit back and use missile units as much as possible. Hannodins, though, I think should probably advance here. Definitely has the tools to rush this down. But we'll see. I could see a possible Fate of Buna here to just nuke these Cold One Knights, but it looks like instead Spirit Leech on Morathi. It's going to do some damage. 25% less than it would otherwise, but still will do some damage. And, yeah, the Flamers coming forward here. Oh, man, they're so far forward. I'm very surprised that the Black Ark Corsairs are not left on fire at will. Do manage to get 1 volley in there. It's going to do a little bit of barrier damage, but not a lot. Early Soul Stealer as well from Morathi. She's got to be super careful not to get blasted by the shooting of the pinks and the blues here. But it looks like the Dark Rider's going to come forward. Perhaps they were thinking about making a run there. It's going to be a suicide run, certainly, especially with the Flesh Hounds now countercharging. Flamers firing into the flank. Pinks managed to resist that, no problem. So, a couple of Dark Riders being kind of needlessly sacrificed here, but definitely probing for weaknesses. I'd imagine this Demon's build is going to want to kite a decent amount if they can, but oh yeah, the Flamers coming through. They knock down like the whole unit of Spearmen. Don't actually do all that much damage, but a little bit of a flank attack here from these 2 cavalry. Cold One Knights, Dark Riders should be able to collapse here. Got another Spirit Leech on Morathi. She's going to drop on the Flamers, and here comes more cavalry. We've got Cold One Knights now. Flamers are definitely in trouble. Flesh Hounds are going to try and respond here. The Blues, Chromatic Aberrations also. Abominations, rather. Yeah, just all flaming in here, and that is going to nuke these Cold One Knights down into big hurry. Will it be enough to save that unit of Flamers? It's hard to say, but with so much resources being focused there, How's the rest of the battlefield doing? Bringers of Beguilement getting in here with the Heralds of Khorne's Fury. This is a huge amount of value as well in a pretty tight pocket. So, yeah, Marathi going to throw another Soul Stealer here. That magic resistance, spell resistance of the green, it's not Greenskins, it's Khorne units. Definitely is going to help significantly, and she also gets fully surrounded by Fleshhounds here, is taking hits from the Herald, so super inopportune situation, but let's see if those Cold One Knights can get in there and bail her out. More Dark Elf Cavalry taking damage, having pulled back. Yeah, man, those Cold One Knights got wrecked a lot faster than what I was expecting. Good focus fire from Kaalhaarman here with his missile units. Likewise, this elite force, the Heralds of Khorne's Fury and the Bringers of Beguilement, going to be able to cut through pretty much all this infantry here. So it's looking really good for demons right away, and Hannodins is getting blasted on the approach there. So I was a little bit skeptical, but I guess if you create enough of a density of missiles, you can just overcome, right, as your opponents advance. So Murderous Prowess coming into play super late in the game, as the Demon's army was quite small. See if it makes any difference in these Cold One Knights charging in. They are going to do some fairly solid damage to the Heralds of Khorne's Fury. Spirit Leech trying to finish off Marathi. Will it actually do so? Hard to say. But, yeah, Kaalhaarman didn't even end up having to use his magic really much on the cavalry. The missile units were largely enough to deal with it, but Hannodins is not out of this yet. He's still scrapping right now. Trying to utilize his missile units to best effect. Get some damage out with these Corsairs. He's just about bursted down the Bringers of Beguilement. He's got the, he did a lot of damage to the Heralds of Khorne's Fury there as well. Marathi does come back from route. He's going to throw a quick Soul Stealer to heal herself. So Dark Elves are not completely out of this yet. They're definitely suffering pretty badly, but got some things going for them. Soul Stealer will restore a little bit of Marathi's HP at the cost of some of the Heralds. He, of course, can heal himself with that AoE heal in a pinch, which now would definitely be a good time with these Heralds of Khorne's Fury nearby, also suffering some significant damage. But let's see. It's really like teetering on the edge right now for Hannodins. And unfortunately, the Bringers of Beguilement do manage to recover what's left of their leadership, so they are not going to rout here. Red Spear is also just scrapping with Nurglings. Gotta love that. But see if these two Corsairs or how long they can kite. It's looking pretty rough, though. I mean, there's a lot of blues and pinks still with plenty of ammunition here, so old ones couldn't take the Tzeentch heat. Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense for the demons to be decent against Dark Elves in some ways. Like, they have a lot of high damage units, and Dark Elves historically have been a little bit on the squishier side in terms of HP, although not so much these days in comparison, but just generally, you know, they don't rely a ton on physical resistance, Dark Elves, but they have some, obviously all magic damage from demons, but really just the high damage. Dark Elves at times in the past have struggled with just high damage factions, and most demon units tend to have very high missile or weapon damage, right? So I'm very surprised the Dark Elves haven't succumbed to army losses, but it looks like there it is. Spirit Leech on Marathi. And that's going to be a win for Kaalhaarman's demons. Very interesting. Yeah, I like the pick of the Heralds. I love the fact they're available for Demons of Chaos now. I feel like it gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of actually taking units, and it was a good mix here. He hit all of the Chaos Gods, doing them all proud here with the RORs, having taken some damage, but still doing well. The Khorne mobility, just in general, a great counter for the Dark Elf mobility. And the Flamers, one was kind of used as bait. The other one, though, did manage to pay for itself and then some. And just in general, the Tzeentch missile units all did a pretty decent job, all things considered. Nurglings did their job of being glorified poison meat shields. There you go. On the Dark Elf side, yeah, the cavalry unfortunately just struggled a little bit here. Handbow's definitely an awesome unit. Could be quite good in a number of circumstances, but there you go. So we'll let them move on to the next one. I'm going to go grab a drink of water, and I'll be right back. All right, here we are. Possible last game. Kaalhaarman wins this one, then he wins the entire BBB tournament. So, let's see what he's got from his Nurgle versus Hannodins Tzeentch, a clash of monogods. Something I feel like I don't actually see that much these days, so definitely very interesting. And who will win the great game? Here. And here. Yes, okay. Oh yeah, Strat game. It's definitely like I unironically listen to this along with a couple other soundtracks, like when I'm working on stuff for my day job, like doing, you know, graphic design work and video editing and stuff. I will often listen to, yeah, this. Exactly. Age of Empires 2 soundtrack is another one that I've got on there. Skyrim, of course. There's a few like true epic classic soundtracks. Excuse me. Let's see what we got today, though. Looks like I roast the Fat Weaver with some halberds, some flamers, some horsemen. Yeah, looks like a Tzeentch build. I saw a rogue Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Nurgle on the other side. Interested to see what mount he's rocking. Probably the big... You want a meat bag with lots of HP, relatively snipe proof. Definitely take the War Shrine because it has a crazy amount of HP. Well, let's see here. Like they're just about finished loading in. And yeah, so for Tzeentch, we've got a couple of flamers, some halberds, Kairos, once again blues with the chromatic aberration, and some Chaos Knights and Marauder Horsemen. Yeah, 2 Chaos Knights, 1 Marauder Horseman. For Nurgle, front line of Marauders, with the Sorcerer Lord of Nurgle actually on horseback, interesting. Got some Forsaken of Nurgle, Chaos Knights of Nurgle. Yeah, 3 Knights of Nurgle, so pretty heavy on the cavalry department with the infantry DPS. I like this quite a bit, including the Demon Spew here. Warhound with poison, single of them. And then obviously the caster to support. Oh, the one thing I am a little bit worried about is that this caster is going to be very vulnerable to Lord Snipe. He does have this Crown of Everlasting Conquest to give himself a passive heal, which will sustain him somewhat. Obviously can actively heal himself also with Fleshy Abundance, but yeah, Blue Fire Snipe is definitely a real thing, so we'll see if that comes in to be much of a factor here today. Tzeentch deployed in a nice, tight little defensive position here with the Flamers stacked right on top of the Blues. Flamers can definitely do a lot of damage, but I'm just a little bit worried that Nurgle's gone for pretty much a full melee rush here. Especially with the Forsaken, who can cut down the Blues no problem, trade decently into the Halberds. It's going to maybe cause some problems here, I think. Yes. Yes, yes. And here comes the Blue Fire Snipe. Gonna be going into Forsaken, actually. Interesting. Wow, does a lot of damage on one cast to the Demon Spew. It's a decently expensive unit to be hitting like that. But how much of a difference will it actually make? Let's just watch the approach happen here. Kaalhaarman pulling up on station. Gonna go for a nice big attack run. Yeah, the Flamers go straight into the Forsaken and just do a heinous amount of damage. Well, yeah, Demon Spew have pretty much been routed without even making contact, and the other Forsaken also being forced to peel in different directions. The Chaos Knights of Tzeentch charging downhill to make sure they protect this pocket as much as possible. The Flamers just continuing to fire on. Warhounds pull up behind, but we've got a nice Gaze of Fate here on these Chaos Knights, and then the Warhounds miss their charge as well. So Tzeentch is having to pull back and defend on this flank, but definitely pushing a little bit of offense out on this flank here and doing a lot of damage to Nurgle in the process. Just smashing the Demon Spew. And these Knights of Nurgle also are fighting in an uphill engagement against the Tzeentch Knights here with missile support. It's going to be a little bit tough, but of course they've got their poison, they've got their healing, try and sustain them through this fight. Let's see if they actually can do any of those things. One Knight of Nurgle does eventually make it around though and get into this little density of missiles here, which is definitely a big problem. Shutting down those Flamers and the Chromatic Aberrations and everything all at the same time. Although there are a lot of unit models of both of these, so yeah, we'll see. Not like Tzeentch is going to delete them instantly, or Nurgle rather. Anyway, let's keep firing. This one, Knight of Nurgle, is also looking pretty rough as well. We see some Tzeentch bombardments flying in here. And some AoE damage also from Nurgle as their units just grind through the front line. These Marauders manage to finish off the Halberd here. This Knight of Nurgle also, it's a regrowth straight up from Kairos, but did manage to rout regardless. So yeah, Nurgle is definitely just putting the hurt right now on Tzeentch's army, and he's not really able to sustain through much. Like I said, the Forsaken, despite taking that initial damage, once the missile units were compromised, the Forsaken just dish out the hurting all over what's left of the Tzeentchian army here. So we'll get in close and watch these heavily armored Chaos dudes slug it out. But, yeah, I saw your, I actually used that right at the start, that little, little intro. Very nice. We'll definitely use it here at the end as well. Big thanks to BBB, of course, all the organizers of this tournament, the hosts, and all the other streamers as well who've streamed over the course of the tournament. It's been a pleasure to work with you all. So definitely has been a good time. Good high-level competitive land battles is what we all need, I think. So big thanks to all of you. Of course, all of you viewers as well for being here, watching all my streams and videos over the last, what has it been, like 6 months probably. It's been a long ongoing tournament, but here we are with Nurgle getting close to clinching it all for Kaalhaarman. See if he can finish the job. Yeah, Kairos trying to get away here. The Tzeentch army, though, despite dishing pretty serious hurt on that initial run-in, all it took was the one Chaos Knight getting up and around, shutting down those missiles, and things just start to fall apart very, very quickly. Yeah, these Knights of Nurgle here, it came in 106 kills, 1273 on value. Just awesome stuff. Like I said, with the Forsaken, too, they're just, they're an awesome unit, especially the Nurgle Forsaken. Probably the best. Just extra HP and melee defense straight up. So, there you go. Looks like Nurgle's just trying to... Yep, there it is. So... officially, it will be a victory for Kaalhaarman, and the grand final award goes to him. I don't remember the exact amount for the prize pools. You guys can post that in the chat from the BBB clan if you know, but that's going to be it for today for this tournament. Thank you all so much for watching. Kaalhaarman wins the series 3-1 against Hannodins and wins the tournament. So thank you all so much for being here through all of this. It's been my absolute pleasure. Thank you again once again to the BBB clan for hosting, and it's just magical. I'm very, very grateful for all of it. So thank you all so much. Perfect way to end on a Nurgle win, Cool Umbrella says. Yeah, perfect for you, perhaps. Thank you. Prize pool was 580. Okay, yeah, it's a pretty serious amount of prize money. It's definitely nothing to scoff at by any means, so good stuff. Okay, I see. Absolutely wicked, my pleasure. I gotta run now, guys, but thanks again. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.